Welcome to this week's BTO Talk on AI, generative AI, digital transformation, AI leadership, and so much more. My name is Michael Alf, calling from Lisbon, back from a trip this week, and I'm here with my two co-founding partners. Over to you, Markus.
Hi there, Michael. Welcome back from Egypt without any sleep last night. This is Markus calling from Thailand and Singapore. And I'm a professor for marketing at the National University of Singapore. And together with my lovely two partners, we are helping you to get ahead in the race of winning with AI. Over to you in London, Rob.
Yes, Markus. Great to be with you both again. Rob Thurner here in London, working with Cambridge Judge Business School on their digital transformation program, and a lot of desk research this week ahead of some interesting projects coming up in the Middle East. So let's get going. We've got a practitioners session. We're going to be sharing our personal experiences with you today. But as we usually do, we're going to kick off with some tech news. So looking around the world, Michael, what's your bot surfaced for you to share with us?
Are you on mute,
You're on
Michael?
mute.
Thank you very much. Yes, I thank you for pointing that out. So yes, the bot helped a little bit, but also I'm looking into what is happening. Two brief news. One is a big news, semi-tech. Anthropic actually is setting up an AI services company and supported by Blackstone and Goldman Sachs and a few other companies. Yeah, so a big company. Interestingly, so they're going AI native and want to embed AI engineers into medium-sized and large companies. Really interesting. So they're competing with big services companies with an AI native approach, a very different approach. I think that's really interesting that they are not only building models like the finance model, which is competing with financial advisors, but also now in services. So very interesting. So therefore semi-tech. The other one is actually an interesting benchmark, which we saw and we discussed it before, that actually the quality of models does matter. So we have a lot of new models, 5.5 and 4.7 and so on, and then DeepSeek with the 4 Pro. And they are actually indeed better in certain benchmarks than their predecessor. So it does matter that you use the latest models. This one was an interesting benchmark on negotiations. Yes, LLMs can negotiate. And there's a benchmark, so they do a 20-round negotiation, buy and sell. And there was significant differences between the models. The leaders were OpenAI 5.5 and Anthropic's Claude Opus 4.7. But then you already had DeepSeek 4 Pro, which is only a fraction of the cost. So that, I think that was interesting technology as well. With that, let's do some practitioner talk. It sounds like it was almost practitioner talk now, but we have more of that, Markus, right?
Yeah, let's share with you, we thought, how we actually work with AI and LLMs and agents and so on, because this is actually what we would like you to explore and learn yourself. And it's basically interesting to listen to three guys using it in different ways, by the way. You will hear three different stories. So I start with myself. I'm just preparing my MBA course for the National University of Singapore, for example. 12 sessions, each one 3 hours long. And of course, I have materials from the previous course last year. But this year, for the first time, I use Claude, in this case, to support me in going through all the materials. So what used to take a long time and many, many hours and very often burning the midnight oil, now I would provide content to Claude. And by the way, this is in the core workspace as a project. So you don't do it as a chat. It is really working in projects. And you also enable the memory function. So it learns about you and your content. So tip number one, get the pro model. Tip number two, use in co-work and get the memory function. So what it can do, just in my experience, and you can transfer that to any of your areas is that you have content of one module. It can be a document, it can be an Excel sheet, or whatever. And you upload that and tell it, okay, please, first of all, change all the dates from 2025 into 2026. And also some maybe acronyms have changed, some content has changed, and so on. And it does this for you automatically. It asks you if it has a question. And it takes, by the way, some thinking time, because that can be a highly complex document, and it really wants to do it well. It doesn't just change a date. It actually says there's a confusion here, or there's a non-alignment between page 26 and 47, for example. The question comes as well, which model are you using? There are 3 models in Claude. The most expensive one is, what is it called? Sonnet 4.6, Michael?
Opus, or the Opus one is the big one, 4.7, and then Sonnet 4.6, yes.
That's it. So the Opus one is, and Michael will use this example in a moment, is the BMW 7 Series. I would have preferred a Mercedes S-Class, but I give it to him. And it basically is the academic version of thinking, and it burns a lot of your tokens, which means if you only use this high BMW 7 Series with a big engine, you will come to an explosion of your tokens very fast, and it will ask you, would you like to buy more? And then you can buy for $50, $250, and $1,000, for example. I use the Sonnet version 4.6 because it is academic, but it's not over the top. But actually, in order to change dates and certain things in a document, you can probably go to the Haiku version, which is the lowest version, and it maybe takes 30% less of your tokens. In a nutshell, my use case is you can work on documents and update them. You can ask it about new referrals, new sources for articles, new developments in your area, and it will do it for you. And then comes the trick. Now it tells you, now I have done that, you signed it off. Do you have any other documents? And I say, yes, I have another 11 modules to do. And it will say, just drop it, and I'm ready to do the same for them as well. And I will make sure that we don't repeat anything across the next 11 modules. So a lot of personal productivity. And I say that because we'll come back to this topic later on. Rob, in your world and your experience, what are the use cases you want to share?
So in the last week, 2 use cases, again, both linked to personal productivity. One was, it was the end of the day. I had some paperwork to do, onboarding with a new client who's just signed up and had to complete a W-8 form. I don't know if you're familiar with this. It's about income for non-US residents. And I thought to myself, this looks like it's a 30 or 40-minute job. I wonder if AI can help. And of course, AI can help. So I question, can I upload the W-8 based on the information you have? And with a few clarifying questions, 10 minutes later, job done. So that was super helpful, saved a chunk of time. The second one, and more time based on content creation. So kind of similar to your use case. In my case, it was aligning with a client on a brief that I've received for a program. And there were various data inputs. So looking at stakeholder interviews, we did some pre-knowledge assessment work. So developed those inputs, uploaded them alongside a previous program I had run, and then iteratively worked on the next version of the program for client sign-off. This was done also in Claude. I'm spending a lot of my time in Claude now. And in this case, 4.7, because there are many different elements to integrate. The first iteration over to the client, and there was quite a bit of back and forth there. Once that was signed off, then into content creation. So doing some deep research there into different topics relevant to the client, competitor analysis, different use cases, and then creating the presentation deck, which is with the client right now for sign off before I go into the refinements and make sure that is ready for delivery. And of course, there'll be some activities built into that as well. And we look at the most successful activities previously developed for this client. So again, personal productivity, Claude, the superstar, said it's saving me a lot of time. And with that, let me hand over to Michael. So what are your use cases?
Yeah, thank you, Rob and Markus. I mean, a lot of good use cases. And we see an evolution of the field of personal productivity. So what we're seeing in the market, that clearly Claude is catching the wind, and is the talk of the town at the moment. Yeah, and for the right reasons. Yeah, so I think we can all attest to that. It comes with some challenges. Yeah, so it creates a chaotic environment. Yeah, that everyone does kind of something. When you try to actually create something which is sustainable, I think it's great for individual work. Especially work we are doing, executive education, consulting, coaching, kind of these type of things. It's great, and I use that. What else do I use? My setup is a bit different because I'm experimenting a lot. So I do use Claude as well. I also use still ChatGPT a lot, because I have my projects there. Some of that is just easier, and it's kind of, I'm used to it. So of course that matters if you are busy, and if you need to get things done. On top of that, I do have a number of agents working. Two of them in OpenClaw, so a very different one, and they are with the model they're using actually now DeepSeek R2 Pro as their main model. And if they need, they can go to another model. So I set them up in the way that actually they can use the multiple models and switch there. So I use the cheaper one, which does a lot of the groundwork, which is DeepSeek. And if I need the deep research, then I go to the more expensive one. And the factor is about almost 10. So it's a lot more from model to model than, for example, within Anthropic. And then I do have, which is I'm working on a more complex setup, which is Claude based, but which is a complete structure and operating system. So this is a bit messy now. So I'm practicing and seeing kind of what works where. The agents, by the way, I can operate from my Telegram, and I was spent just this week in Cairo for a training for a client, and during the times I have access to my agents, and they can do some work as well. So that's a couple of additional use cases. Markus, do you want to kind of summarize that a little bit? And
I guess I summarize it. Each of these podcasts, we have a conversation before, so we all know where we are ending. And I think there are a couple of messages. The first message is, don't feel overwhelmed right now if you have not started, because as Rob and I say the two of us, can confirm, you can get into Claude within 1 hour of following a script which describes you. And there are many, many YouTube videos, TikToks, and whatever. And of course, you can ask us. Within 1 hour, if you're dedicated, you will be able to run your own productivity projects. And then you take it from there. So you don't have to be a programmer. You don't have to have any background in AI, not at all. It's like reading a book. Secondly, you will notice that Michael, out of the three of us, is the super user here, and he uses a lot more of the tools. He connects it, and we didn't talk about agentic AI too much now. He did actually. But you know what? You don't have to be there, but we will be there because it's the next step. The third one is, did you hear the word personal productivity? Claude and Co. are basically your masters of improving your personal productivity. And what I suggest, gentlemen, is that next week we talk about what does this mean to organizations? Because the question I leave you with is, does Claude create a process map of what it is doing for you? And is this process map the same one as for Rob and for Michael when I do it? I give you a hint, most likely not. What does that mean for organizations? We will talk about that next week. And before I end, I hand over to Rob to let you go into the weekend.
Yes,
and share the QR code.
And share the QR code. So I think it's a case of being very clear what your needs are. If you're setting up your own agents, you can set up the most wonderful agent to do some very clever stuff, but unless it's actually helping you, saving you time with those repetitive tasks, freeing up some time for you to do other more creative projects, then it's not the right task. So think very carefully about which task is going to be most valuable for you. Get started, and it won't be perfect first time. There is an iterative process here. So having your mindset, think, you're a product developer. As you develop the first iteration of your product, it won't be perfect, but it will get better over time. So have the patience there and bring in that mindset. And share your experiences with us. We'd love to hear how you're getting on. We'll be back next week and look forward to getting into more detail there about this coordination subject. And with that, I'd wish you a very happy weekend. Yeah, there's a QR code which you should be using. Jump in there. You'll get early sign up to the book that we're developing right now. A lot of thinking going into that. And we touch on this and other subjects in that book. So with that, thanks for your time today. And we will see you next time.
Bye for now.
Bye.
Did you see the QR code up there? Mine, I don't see it on my screen.
Yeah,